Yeah. Ride with the mob, hamdulillah. Check in with me and do your job. Ferg is the name, Ben Baller did the chain. Tono for the watch, Prezi plain Jane. Yamagini chain, rest in peace to my...
The 1995-96 Chicago Bulls are better than the 2015-2016 Golden State Warriors because they are a more complete team and won the NBA championship. The Bulls are overall a deeper team and were the talent part of this contest. They also won the NBA championship during their season, while the Golden State Warriors did not. The Warriors were not even the best team in the NBA during their season, so how could they be in the argument for the best team of all time? The Bulls are overall a deeper team and would win the talent portion of this matchup. At point guard, the Golden State Warriors had Stephen Curry. He averaged 30.1 points and 6.7 assists per game. He set the record for the third consecutive season for three-point shots made in a single season and unanimously won the MVP. This means that everyone voting believed that he was the MVP for this season. The Bulls had Ron Harper, who averaged 7.4 points and 2.6 assists per game. He only played 23 minutes a game, which is about half of the game, and split his minutes evenly with backup point guard Steve Kerr. He was thought of to be an average player and not one who would win this matchup. This is a positional win for the Golden State Warriors, as Steph Curry would offensively dominate Ron Harper. At shooting guard, the Chicago Bulls had Michael Jordan, the greatest player in NBA history. He averaged 30.4 points and 6.6 rebounds per game. He won his fourth MVP during this year and had 20 win shares, meaning that he was personally responsible for almost a third of the team's 72 wins. This is a ridiculous number and one of the best in NBA history. The Golden State Warriors had Klay Thompson, who averaged 22.1 points and 3.8 rebounds per game. He was a second-team All-Defender and but will have trouble against Michael Jordan, as Michael Jordan will trash talk and get in his head and have an array of moves that Klay Thompson would not be able to stop. This is a positional win for the Bulls, as Jordan was the greatest player in NBA history. At small forward, the Chicago Bulls had Scottie Pippen, who was regarded as one of the top 50 players in NBA history. He averaged 19.4 points, 6.6 rebounds, and 5.9 assists per game. He's considered to be one of the greatest defenders of all time and will be able to take whoever he's matched up against out of the game completely. At small forward, the Golden State Warriors had Harrison Barnes. He averaged 11.7 points and 4.7 rebounds per game. He's considered to be an average player and one who was eventually replaced by the Golden State Warriors after this season. He would not be able to keep up with Scottie Pippen defensively, as Scottie Pippen would be able to score on him and also would take him out of the game offensively. This is another win for the Bulls, as Scottie Pippen would physically dominate Harrison Barnes. At power forward, the Chicago Bulls had Dennis Rodman, who averaged 5.5 points and a league-leading 14.9 rebounds per game. He was a defensive menace and would be able to perfectly combat the small ball lineups presented by the Warriors. At power forward, the Golden State Warriors had 6'6" Draymond Green. He averaged 14 points, 9.5 rebounds, and 7.4 assists per game. He was a first-team All-Defensive player who is known to be a defensive menace. I believe in this matchup, this position would be a wash, as both players play a specific role for their team that they would be able to do as long as they are not matched up against each other. If they are matched up against each other, I believe Dennis Rodman would win this matchup. At centers, this is both teams' weakest starting position. Luke Longley for the Chicago Bulls averaged 9.1 points and 5.4 rebounds per game. He was just an average player who was able to help defend the paint. Andrew Bogut was the starting center for the Golden State Warriors. He averaged 5.1 points and 7.4 rebounds per game. He struggled with injuries, but when he was on the court, he was a good defender, but he was taken out of close games in favor of the small ball lineup. This is the least important positional battle, but I believe Luke Longley would win this because he played a bigger role for his team and would be able to help shift the matchup. For the bench, I'm going to talk about the two best bench players for each team. First, for the Chicago Bulls, they had Tony Kukoc, who averaged 13.1 points and won the 6th Man of the Year award. This means that he was the best bench player in the entire league and obviously would create a great bench for the Chicago Bulls. Steve Kerr was the second man off the bench for the Chicago Bulls, who shot 50.1% from three and was able to run Phil Jackson's triangle offense when Ron Harper would take a rest and would be a scoring option when either Michael Jordan or Scottie Pippen would take a rest. For the Golden State Warriors, the first man off the bench was Andre Iguodala. He was a small forward who was the pivotal part of the death ball lineup for the Golden State Warriors. He had won the Finals MVP the year before. Second man off the bench for them was Shaun Livingston, who averaged 6.3 points per game and ran the offense well when Stephen Curry was not in the game. Both teams had solid benches, but I believe that the Bulls will win this matchup. Tony Kukoc and Steve Kerr would be able to create offensive mismatches that the Golden State Warriors could not combat without their main players in the game. As for coaching, I believe the Chicago Bulls had the better coach in Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson was known as the Zen Master, one of the greatest coaches in NBA history. He's won 11 NBA championships, and this year was the start of his second three-peat in the Bulls, which was the start of his fourth of his 11 titles. The Golden State Warriors had Steve Kerr, who is the backup point guard for the Chicago Bulls. He learned a lot from Phil Jackson during this time, and I believe because of that, Phil Jackson is a superior coach and would lead the Bulls to a coaching victory. The Bulls had an overall deeper team as they won the position battle, had a deeper bench, and a better coach. The Chicago Bulls won a 1996 NBA championship, while the Golden State Warriors did not. The Warriors blew a 3-1 lead to the Cleveland Cavaliers in the NBA Finals, capping an unsuccessful finish to a very successful year. The Chicago Bulls went 15-2 in the NBA playoffs, giving them a final record of 87-13. The Golden State Warriors went 11-7 in the playoffs, giving them a final record of 84-17. This means that the Chicago Bulls actually finished with a better record than the Golden State Warriors for the whole season. To conclude, the 1995-96 Chicago Bulls are better than the 2015-2016 Golden State Warriors because they are a more complete team and they won the NBA championship. The Bulls win the talent portion of this competition. They finished with a better overall record and are without a doubt the best team in NBA history.